Welcome to PlayChat Podcast.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Sam.
We are two friends from high school who met for coffee and somehow we ended up here.
We'll be talking about theater, movies, music, and so much more.
You're listening to PlayChat.
Hello,
Hey,
everyone.
PlayChat. What's going on?
Welcome to episode 3.
Episode 3. I can't believe this is the third time we're doing this.
I know, it's kind of crazy. It
I love
feels
it.
like we've been doing it for a long time.
Forever.
It's also crazy that we're at episode 3 right now.
I agree. It's been much fun.
Emma, what's been going on in your life lately?
What's been going on in my life? Fall. It's fall, and that makes me really happy. But I feel like we should introduce ourselves.
Oh, right.
So I'll go first. Hi, I am Emma Cahoon. I'm a second-year student in the Boston University School of Theater studying theater arts. And I like plays and I like to talk about them. And I am currently obsessed with 73 Questions Vogue videos.
Oh, I love those.
We're watching a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'm always obsessed with I am always obsessed with Trader Joe's. I feel like maybe
Right.
I've said that,
That's okay.
but it's still true because I am always obsessed with it. I went
are.
today. It was lovely. And I cannot live without a good pair of jeans.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I wear a lot of jeans. That's me.
All right. I'm Sam Griffin. I am a third-year student at Columbia College, Chicago, in the musical theater performance program. I really like musicals, and I like to get on this pod and talk about them.
Very true.
I am currently obsessed with Anne of Green Gables.
Yes.
I've never read the books, but I just watched Anne with an E on Netflix and I lost my mind.
Fair.
I'm actually using the books as like leverage for myself, or I guess maybe leverage isn't the right word. I'm not allowing myself to buy the books until I get a job. So
Okay,
those are
fair.
my reward.
Fair.
So currently just with Anne with an E. Always obsessed with mint chocolate chip ice cream.
So good.
And can't live without, I'd say, a good smelling shampoo.
Oh, that's good.
It's really important to me that my shampoo smells good. So
that is really
I think that's
good.
my can't live without.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I actually was thinking of something similar, but so I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Word. Well, what are we going to talk about today? We're celebrating the reopening of Broadway.
We are celebrating Broadway being back, everyone.
And live theater in general being back.
Yes.
Very exciting. And we might as well just get right into our segments, I feel like.
I suppose.
Let's just get right in.
First let's do our icebreaker question first.
Oh, you're so right.
Our icebreaker question for today, since we're going to be talking about live theater and live performance, is what is your dream concert lineup?
Yes. Okay.
All right. I think I might have mine. And this is one I'm manifesting it for the future.
Please.
Because I need it to happen.
Please hit me with it.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
My dream concert, of course, would be Taylor Swift.
Yes.
And the opener would be none other than Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay, so I figured that you were going to say that. Can I say mine and then elaborate on it?
Of course.
Okay, so obviously headliner Taylor Swift. Like clearly that is like the end all be all of this life that I am living is to see Taylor Swift live.
Yes.
I would, as her opener, I would love to see somebody on tour with her who is like also a young female songwriter that is kind of up and coming. And so
I think I know who you're gonna say.
Do you really? I don't know if you do. I have two options. One of them is Jensen McCrae, who I love her music. She doesn't have she has a lot of music. She is pretty famous on TikTok. She like has a pretty big
Nice.
TikTok following. And so a lot of her music is there, but she doesn't have a lot of released music. I think if I'm correct, I think her first EP just came out not long ago. But her music is incredible. I highly recommend listening to her music. If you want just 2 recommendations to get you started, Wolves and Immune. So good. That's one of them. Second option is Isabel Pless, who is also a TikTok singer-songwriter. She's like she's a little bit bigger, I think, than Jensen McRae, like numbers wise. But I think that Isabel Pless would actually better suit a Taylor concert because I think it's kind of more her type of music.
I actually think I'm gonna change my answer.
Okay.
Because once you started talking about smaller artists, I was like, yeah, that's what an opening should be anyway. Like, I want it to be people that maybe don't have as much hype and get more because Taylor's giving them that space. So the person I would want most is actually another TikTok musician, Leith Ross, who uses they, them pronouns. Leith just somehow puts these incredible feelings into words that I didn't know could be explained in the way that they use those words. Like it's crazy, their storytelling ability. So I think if there was like a Folklore Evermore tour, I would love to see Leith open for that.
Okay, I have a follow-up.
Okay.
I have a third point.
Sure.
If let's say for the hypothetical, this is like a Taylor Swift greatest hits tour.
Oh, God.
She's singing through her whole discography.
Right.
And she gets one guest star for one song. Who would it be and what would the song be?
Okay. This Can I have 2 options?
Sure.
Okay, my 2 options are Olivia Rodrigo, Teardrops on My Guitar.
Okay, iconic.
Second option, and this is also one I'm manifesting.
Okay.
Harry Styles on Style.
Okay, yes. So Harry Styles would have been one of mine. I would also, I'm just anticipating that the vault track with Phoebe Bridgers, Nothing New, is going to be life-changing for me. So to see that live would probably kill me. But I would also love to see like Maggie Rogers has a cover of Tim McGraw that I'm obsessed with. So that would be really cool. Or I'd love to see like, I don't know, like Selena on like on like 22 or like Shake It Off, like the songs that are like about her like friend group or something like that. Like that'd be really
cool. Oh yeah.
Okay. Good icebreaker question. So if you want to participate in the icebreaker, let us know your dream headliner with an opener and then whoever their guest performer would be.
Absolutely. All right. We on our audience voted segments actually have a lot of freedom this week.
So much freedom. I was so excited about it, but also it was like a little bit daunting.
I know. I wanted more structure, I felt.
Yeah.
Our segment votes came out that Emma and I would both have Chatter's choice. So we each just got to pick whatever we wanted to talk about for our segments today. Yeah, so I guess I can go first.
Perfect.
Today we're going to be talking about a lot of live performance in theater, so I wanted to do something that was a little bit different than that for my segment today. For those of you who know me in real life, you know that I'm a big reader. If
go
you
follow Sam's book talk.
It's Sammy's Bookshelf on TikTok.
Go follow.
Shameless plug. Also, if you follow me on Instagram, Sam D. Griff, in my bio is the link to my Goodreads account, and I'm constantly updating my Goodreads.
No, I'm going there right now. Shut up.
Be my friend on Goodreads. So for my segment today, thought I would talk about, I ended up picking 6, which I feel like fits well for like fall spooky season, the number 6. So just 6 books that I am hoping to be able to read this fall for various reasons. So these are in no particular order, but the first one I'm hoping to read, and I know for sure I'm going to be reading this one as soon as it gets to me, is my book of the month pick. I subscribe to Book of the Month, which is a subscription box where you pay $15 a month and you get one hardcover book. And then any additional books you add on are only $10, which is such a good deal if you think about it. Because every book is hardcover, like new.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
so
really nice.
there was a month where I think I bought 3 books, so I got 3 hardcover books for $35.
Oh my God.
Which was crazy.
So nice.
But anyway, so my book of the month pick is called The X Hex, and it's by Erin Sterling, and it's like a witchy, like romance thing, which I'm really excited about. So that's a book I want to read this fall. The next one is The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people really love The Book Thief. And I tried to start it this summer and I think I maybe got 2 pages in and couldn't get into it because that wasn't like the kind of book I was looking for at that time.
Yeah.
So I really want to read The Book Thief. It feels like it'll be a good book for fall just based off of the cover.
Sure.
And I really don't know much about it. The next one is Atonement by Ian McEwan, I believe.
Okay.
Atonement, it was made into a movie.
Yes.
And I found it. Yeah, let me look up who's in it. Atonement. Let's see.
It's Keira Knightley and
James McAvoy. I love James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. And Saoirse Ronan is in it too, I think.
Oh, she is. Yes. She plays Keira Knightley's sister, I think.
I haven't seen it yet, but I have a friend at school, shout out Robbie, who is obsessed with the movie Atonement.
Robbie!
So, I am very excited to hear what you think of the book, and I do need to watch it very soon.
Absolutely. So Atonement is my next one. After that, for anyone that watches Sex Education, I'm trying to channel my inner Maeve Wiley with my next book. I really want to read The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath.
Yeah.
I never had to read it for school, and I know a lot of people that did.
We didn't read it.
No, we didn't. I think Christine, our editor, she was telling me she had to read it in school, but I never had to. And I just got that one at a book fair for really cheap, so I want to read The Bell Jar.
Nice.
My next one is a new book. It's called Fury Born, and it's by Claire Legrand. It's kind of like a fantasy. As far as I'm aware, there might be some like time and like future and past, like those kind of elements. I wish I knew. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
My favorite thing ever.
We are big fans of nonlinear storytelling over here at PlayChat. So I want to read Fury Born. So it's a fantasy. I believe it's about these 2 women throughout history who are like, I don't know, a legacy of some sort. I don't really know it. But I want to read it. I've seen it a lot all over Book Talk. So Book Talk. And my last one, a Halloween classic, I need to read The Shining by Stephen King. Because I've never even seen the movie. I don't know any of the story. And I don't know any spoilers. So I need to read The Shining before it gets ruined for me.
I have to just say, I feel the need to put this on my voice right now.
Sure.
So there's a lot of PlayChat discourse in my personal life. People like to talk to me about the things that we talk about on PlayChat, which is very exciting for me. But one of the number one things that happens is like I say that I haven't seen something or read something, and people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. This is ridiculous."
And they like rip you apart in real life.
So now I'm like, "Oh God, I don't want to say that."
You never want to admit it.
Anything. And like, I don't know if all my friends have seen The Shining and if it's ridiculous for me to have not seen The Shining, but I haven't seen it. And Sam hasn't read it nor seen it. And I've not read it either. So if
you're gonna roast Emma about it, you have to roast me too.
You have to roast Sam.
You have to roast both of us. Do it in the Instagram comments where we can fight back.
Yeah. Literally, the PlayChat Pod Instagram will reply to your comment.
We will reply, but I need to read it before it gets spoiled for me.
True.
So those are my books of the fall.
Perfect. I love that. Can I just ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay. since those are 6 books you have not read, I'm
Right.
wondering if you could recommend a book that you have read for
Ooh, like
that's
for
a
a
good
fall kind of
cozy up fall book.
Oh, like a cozy up kind of book. Well, let's see. Emma and I have actually been working on this graphic that we're going to upload onto Instagram and onto our social media soon. And I put a list of books on there that I believe are fall books. And now I can't remember what I put. Oh, okay. Here's one. A lot of people may have read this, and it kind of depends what kind of genre you're looking for.
Mhm.
In terms of like a nice little romance to snuggle up by the fire with, I don't have one of those. I don't.
Sure.
But
fair.
if you're looking for something that's like a little bit like mysterious, maybe a little spooky, a little edgy for its time, I really love 1984 by George Orwell.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
think
one.
it's a really good book. And it feels very fall
Good
to
one.
me.
Yeah.
And then another one that I would recommend that's not as dark as that. If you're into fantasy, and this one is a little bit of a love story, it's a little bit of a forbidden love story, so that's exciting. It's called The Night Circus, and it's by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh, yeah, that's a good fall book.
And I really like The Night Circus. That one feels very fall, especially because a lot of fairs and that kind of stuff are autumnal.
Yeah.
So it feels
Carnivals and
very
stuff.
fall.
Yeah.
Yes. So those
Okay.
would be my recommendations for
Word.
books to read this fall.
That's a great list. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will try to read some of them. There's a really cute, around the corner from my apartment, there's like a one of those little like leave a book, take a book,
You have
little
a free book
libraries.
library?
Yes.
Oh.
And I was looking through it today, so I think I'll go back and pick something up from it.
My cousin Caroline has one of those that she's running up in Maine.
Oh my God.
She has a little, I follow it on Instagram. It's really cute.
Oh, that's really cute.
Speaking of my cousins, we just quick shout out. We have
Oh
our
my
very
God.
first patron on our Patreon. It is my cousin. It is my cousin, Katie.
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Queen.
Thank you. So that being said, I'll post the link to her. She has an Etsy account that makes these really cute stickers and like really nice art prints. So I will put the link to her Etsy account. Everyone can check out Kate's shop.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our first patron.
Yes. And remember to check out our Patreon if you love PlayChat Pod.
We do have some bonus content on there.
We do.
So go check it out.
All right.
Let's hear your segment.
Emma's choice. So, this is a good little segue too into like our main topic.
Yeah.
But if you listen to episode 2, you would know that this past weekend at the Charlestown Working Theater in Charlestown, Massachusetts, which is like 10 minutes outside of Boston, a company called Theatre KAPOW produced a production of a play called The Boyg, which was assistant directed by our very first special guest, Heidi Krantz.
Yay, Heidi.
And I was so excited. I got to see the show twice. And so I'm going to talk about that. So kind of a play review.
About The
Boyg. Like live play review rather than a reading play review. So it was first of all, it was just so lovely to be in a theater again. This is the first like indoor in a theater sit down production that I have seen, I think, since the start of the pandemic. Like I really think it was the first one. I saw some outdoor theater over the summer and stuff, but I think it was the first like sit down play that I've seen since the beginning of the pandemic. So it was, first of all, just lovely to share that space again. But something that really struck me in watching The Boyg was that obviously the pandemic started and I haven't seen theater since then, or theater like that since then. And not only that, but I'm like a year and a few months into acting school now. And what really struck me was how differently I watch theater now. and the different things that I see and can identify in watching a play after a year and half of a semester studying theater so intensely. So that was so exciting, and it allowed me to walk away from the show with learning something, like genuinely learning something, because I was just saying this to my dad on the phone earlier, who was the director of the Boyg. We were on the phone, we were talking about it, and I was like, my family, we are snobs. We know that we are snobs, and we are really opinionated about what we think is good and what we think is not good. And that is something that I'm trying to let go of. But we can be really opinionated about theater. And I grew up like that, but I never would be able to articulate why I thought something was good, or what made something so remarkable or smart or whatever it was that I felt about that experience. I could never put the words to why. And so it was really exciting to see the Boyg after a year and a half of theater school and have the words and have the understanding for what was so great about it. So before we get too specifically into the review, I'm just going to read the summary of the play.
Sure.
For a little bit more detail from the promo material. So, The Boyg by playwright A.J. Diddy. It's 1942, and the cultural elite of Norway have been imprisoned by Nazi occupiers in the Grini concentration camp on the outskirts of Oslo. As they try to survive their imprisonment and keep their sanity, they decide to stage a production of Henrik Ibsen's Peer Gynt to raise morale just in time for Christmas. But the arrival of a new bunkmate to the barrack brings unforeseen complications, causing the men to re-examine their relationship to their country, their art, and themselves. How can you create art in the depths of despair, and how can you overcome the brutal embrace of the Boyg? So that is a summary. The play essentially follows all the men, but our kind of protagonist, one could say, is Peer Krogh, who is a real person. All of the people, with the exception of maybe one or two, I think just one, are real people, are historical figures. And so Peer Krogh was an artist who studied with Matisse in France, and he was a Norwegian artist who was taken and imprisoned by Nazi officers. And some of his most famous work is the art that he drew on the walls of his bunker, and on paper that he hid in the camp. And almost all of it were illustrations of Henrik Ibsen's Peer Gynt, the play. He drew from memory the plot of that play, which is a 6.5-hour play on stage. It's incredibly long. So there was a lot of material there. And a fun fact is that there's a special edition of Peer Gynt with Peer Krogh's illustrations in the pages, where they go in the plot. And there's 230 or something of those copies on Earth in existence. And my dad owns 4 of them, because he's collected them over time.
Oh,
because he's
my
crazy.
gosh. Matthew Cahoon.
Yes. So that's the basic plot. It was really lovely. It's an intense play. It's an intense play. But it was really refreshing or fulfilling, I guess, in a way, to see this play in this moment for me, because this is a play about the purpose of art in times of such despair in history. And obviously World War II and COVID are not necessarily comparable in every way, but COVID is the major historical event, I hope, of our generation. I hope this is the big thing. And there have certainly been times in this pandemic where I'm like, why am I in theater school? What the hell is going on? What am I doing? And this story is really an exploration of that and what art can mean and how it can serve us in times of great despair. So it was really interesting to explore those themes this weekend, as it was the first live theater piece that I saw coming out of or within the pandemic, I guess one could say. But it's also just a wonderfully written play. And something that I took away from the Boyg that I would love to apply in my own writing is that it's obviously an intense story. It's a concentration camp in World War II, and there's violence, and there's quite a major plot line, themes of suicide throughout. So there's some intense content. But something that I really appreciated about the way that AJ wrote this play, which also makes sense knowing AJ personally, is that it's well balanced with some humor and some lightness, but not in a way that is insensitive. Obviously, all of these are topics that have to be handled really carefully, but they always feel appropriately handled and give the audience kind of it's the moments of humor are like coming up for air, kind of. And so they're very well balanced throughout, which I really appreciate. I really admire in his writing of this play. And, there are so many things to say. I'll just touch on like kind of two more things. The design is incredible. I really always love the way that Theatre KAPOW designs and the designers that they work with. And it can be hard to like put a finger on what makes a good design other than like, oh, that looks cool. But in this piece, it was so clear that there's such a symbiotic relationship between the design and the direction and performance that like it feels like a unified world. It doesn't feel like there's this play and then there's this like cool special effects on top of it. Like they all complement each other in creating this world that obviously is very specific. This is a piece of historical fiction ultimately. And so there's specificity in the design that's required that was met, but also still allowed for creativity. Which was wonderful. And if you are interested in looking at any of the design, there are great photos of it on the Theatre KAPOW Instagram and Facebook and website. So go check them out. But then I just have to say the standout for me of the entire play, both times I saw it, was the performance by Rebecca Tucker, who played Pierre Krog, the protagonist. It was so exciting to see her in a role like this. It's a tough role, and it makes me think a lot about how we take care of ourselves as actors when we're handling some really heavy material. I think it's really important that, as dropped in as we can get, that there's a way out. And I know Rebecca personally, and seeing her so dropped into that role, it was incredible. But then seeing her after, she was Rebecca again. So the difference between Rebecca and Pierre was so stark. But again, it was so interesting to watch her in this role after being in acting school, because I understand now, like, I can put a finger on what she was doing that I loved. Right. She was so dropped into this role. She was so, her energy was so contained and charged rather than being diffused and kind of like falling out some kind of somewhere else. But mostly you could see her listening to her other actors on stage. The chemistry between her and every other actor on stage was always so open and lived in. It was rehearsed, we rehearsed for safety and we rehearsed to know what we're doing, but it wasn't calculated. It was lived in every moment. She was receiving that information, and it was living in her body in a different way every time she did it, or at least both times that I saw her do it. And it was really, really, really remarkable and a great acting lesson for me. And that is something that I love. I love, love, love being able to go and see a performance and walk away learning something and learning something about the world and also and about humanity and art, but also learning something that I can apply. So it was a really exciting performance to witness, and the Boyg is closed for now. There are possibilities of other ways to view it in the future. But all of that is to say, go back out into the theater because
Yes.
it was lovely and it was a great play, and I love great plays.
And that is a great segue into
Yes, it
our
is.
main topic today. So we are going to be talking about some live arts experiences we've had. So we have a few sections sketched out. So why don't we go ahead and start just with the stuff we've done in the past and things we've seen, because I think that kind of informs how we view what we want to see in the future. So our concert and our Broadway history.
Sure.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, Sam, take it away.
So I'm going to try to do these in order, but I'm going to do concerts and Broadway separate because I don't know where those live in my head. So in terms of concerts, my first ever concert was Jimmy Buffett, which I actually went to with Heidi Krantz's family.
Oh,
Heidi and I were really close friends in middle school. So there were 2 years where I went camping with Heidi and their family.
so fun.
And one year we went to see Jimmy Buffett, and it was my first ever concert. And it was a lot of fun. So Jimmy Buffett was my first concert. I wasn't really sure if I should count these ones or not, but I went with my family to see both the Trans-Siberian Orchestra and the Blue Man Group when I was young teens, and those were a lot of fun. And then other concerts, I saw Sam Smith in Boston. I saw Ben Platt in Boston a few years ago. I saw the Jonas Brothers on their Happiness Begins tour in Chicago.
Amazing.
And then just last week, I saw Mr. Harry Styles, Chicago Night 2.
I was so jealous.
It was amazing. So that's my concert history. And then coming up in February, Christine and I have tickets to see Billie Eilish in Chicago.
Yes.
So
that'll be so good.
That's my little concert history. And then in terms of, let's hear your concert history.
Okay, yeah. I have not seen that many. It's always like the scale is always kind of an interesting thing, or like the level that we talk about. Because I've seen a number of concerts in my life, like concerts that would come to the Stockbridge, which is the performing arts venue at our high school. But as far as like tours, like kind of like stadium or like arena-esque tours, I have seen my first concert was Ariana Grande, the Honeymoon tour.
Wow, that's a good first concert.
And I went with my cousins, Emily and Julia, who are a year younger than me, and a student of my dad's, because my parents didn't want to take us. And so we paid a high school student to go to the Ariana Grande concert with us.
Oh my gosh.
And it was incredible. I remember screaming the whole time. And then I didn't see another stadium tour or anything like that until like 2 weeks ago, like last week, 2 weeks ago. I saw Bleachers take this out of Saturday Night tour 2 weeks ago in Boston. And I saw Phoebe Bridgers last week, the Punisher tour, or the reunion tour, last week as well, which
amazing.
Both of those were incredible. And it was really outside, which was really fun.
Oh.
So yeah, that's like, those are all the concerts, and then I saw like the Boston Pops or like the Boston Symphony Orchestra
Sure.
in middle school, which also live music, just a very different kind of live music.
Yeah.
But we used to go on when I was in band. Fun fact about me, I used to play the flute. We would go on field trips to the Boston Pops in middle school. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was also a band kid just for a year in elementary school. I used to play the clarinet,
Oh my God, of course you did.
and the only reason I played the clarinet was because I was obsessed with SpongeBob
Yeah,
and Squidward played the
I
clarinet.
knew that was coming.
So I played the clarinet.
That's really funny. That's
Only
really
for a
funny.
year when I was like 8, but
That's
yeah,
really
I used to play
funny.
the clarinet.
I got
All right, Emma, let's go through Broadway. And when we
All
say
right,
Broadway,
perfect.
let's also talk about tours and like off Broadway, that
Yes.
kind of stuff as well.
Perfect. Me first or you first?
I can go first.
Yeah, you go first again.
Okay,
Let's see
sure.
the continuity.
So, I believe the first, oh, I always have trouble remembering which one was first. I think the first Broadway type show I ever saw
Mhm.
was I believe it was the second national tour of Wicked.
Okay.
Um,
Amazing. My first show was also Wicked.
I was like 11.
Amazing.
And my life was changed ever since. And then right around that same time, I saw one of the tours, I don't know which number, one of the tours of Phantom of the Opera,
Sure.
which was also great. And then after that, I went and saw my first Broadway show, which was Matilda. I saw that with Kids Coop Theater, which is a local community theater, local to Southern New Hampshire. They're so great. I grew up with them. I love them so much. So saw Matilda
So
with them. After that, I saw Something Rotten
Okay.
on Broadway, and then I later saw its tour as well.
Oh, fun.
I got to see Les Mis before it closed, which was amazing.
Incredible.
I saw School of Rock.
Oh, that's fun.
I saw it once, I saw it once in the spring, and then I think the next summer I saw it again on another Kids Coop trip.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up seeing School of Rock twice. I saw Anastasia while it was still in workshops in Hartford, Connecticut. So that was really cool. I got to meet Christy Altamar and Derek Klena. I have a picture with Christy Altamar. It's like my cherished possession. Oh, I just remembered one that I didn't write down. I saw one of the more recent tours of Rent.
Oh, yes.
So I saw the Rent tour.
With Caleb Wells.
With Caleb Wells.
Yes,
so
alumni of Pinkerton Academy.
Fun fact, we had a chorus teacher named Jameson Wells, and his brother, Caleb Wells, they both went to Pinkerton, and his brother was in the national tour of Rent. So
not only in the national tour of Rent,
he was Roger in the national tour of Rent.
Roger in the national tour of Rent.
So I know a bunch of us went to go see it, partially because we were like, oh my God, that's our teacher's brother. And then also just because we love Rent.
It's so funny to me too that you say our teacher's brother, because he was my dad's student before Mr. Wells was our teacher.
Yeah.
So, but that's funny.
Yeah. So after that, I saw Frozen. I talked about my experience with Frozen on the first episode of the pod.
Yes.
So I saw Frozen. I ended up seeing that twice because I later took my sister for Christmas.
Oh, that's so much fun.
And then my most recent two, right before the pandemic in January of 2020, I had the opportunity to see Beetlejuice with Christine. We sat in the orchestra. It was crazy. And then my last show before COVID was Hadestown, which blew my mind.
Okay. Okay, before we get too much into it, I just need to do my list because there's so much to talk about.
Do your list.
Okay. So my first Broadway show was also Wicked. I saw it on Broadway. I don't know the year, but I know that I was 6. I think
Wait,
I
Emma.
was 6.
There is the possibility that 2 of my instructors at Columbia, 2 of my professors, were in Wicked on Broadway when you saw it.
That's
which
sick.
is so fun.
Yeah, no, my dad had a friend who was a dancer in Wicked at that moment as well. But that was my first Broadway show. I was obsessed with Wicked. We had a CD of Wicked,
Who
and
wasn't?
we would listen to it on the way to school every day. And my drive to school was like 4 to 5 minutes, so we would get like one song in every time. But I was obsessed with it, and so my parents got me tickets to Wicked for Christmas. And I'm only saying all of this because the most vivid memory I have of seeing Wicked was my mom and I crying through the whole thing. And then I was crying when we left the theater because I was sad that it was over and that I would never see it again. And I was crying. And again, they got me tickets for Christmas. And so we saw it in like early January. And my tears froze to my cheeks. And it was so painful.
Oh no.
And I remember that. But anyways.
Poor little Emma.
I know. So sad. Incredible show. Anyways, then I saw Mary Poppins on Broadway. And then I saw Matilda on Broadway. I didn't write this. I wrote like the Broadway shows and then the national tours and then the off-Broadway shows.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm jumping chronologically around a little bit. But anyways, so Wicked, Mary Poppins, and Matilda were the first 3 Broadway shows that I saw.
Right.
Then again, there was a bit of a long break. Middle school was not the theater moment for me, but there was a bit of a break. And then I included this because it was Broadway. It's a play. But I saw The Play That Goes Wrong on Broadway.
I would have loved to see that.
So fucking funny. So good. And then I saw The Band's Visit, which I saw again later the next year. So I've seen The Band's Visit twice. But luckily Katrina Lenk stayed in the cast the whole time. Thank God, because she was incredible. So I saw her twice. Then Hadestown I saw in March of 2019. And then the last 2 shows that I saw also in January of 2020 were actually 2 revivals. The revival of Oklahoma,
right?
2019 revival of Oklahoma, and the 2019 revival of West Side Story. And I have very differing opinions on these 2 revivals. So maybe we'll get into that. But anyways,
absolutely.
So those were all my Broadway shows. As far as national tours, this is not quite I can do it in order. Also a play, but I saw the national tour of Curious Incident in the Dog of the Dog in the Nighttime.
Oh, nice.
Incredible piece of theater. Incredible. I then saw much later, I saw the national tour of Rock of Ages. My dad had a friend in it. Shout out JM. Then I saw the national tour. What's the order here? Then I saw the national tour in Boston of Dear Evan Hansen. Okay. Also some heated opinions on that. And much later in 2019, I saw the national tour of Spongebob.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I did in Boston.
How have we never talked about that?
Also much to talk about with that, but it was great. It was just like the sickest I have ever been in a theater. So my memory of that is a little
hazy.
Yes. But it was great. And then as far as off-Broadway things, it's like hard to specifically remember, but I saw a play in New York off-Broadway called Puffs, which is a parody a parody
Harry Potter.
of Harry Potter. It's like the 7 years that Harry was at Hogwarts, but from the perspective of the Hufflepuffs, which is
Year 4 must be real sad from the Hufflepuff point of view.
Oh, it gets so fucking sad. But actually, we saw that because AJ, who wrote the Boyg, was the lead of Puffs, or like one of the leads of Puffs.
Oh my God.
So I saw Puffs a couple of times, and then I also spoke about this in the opening, but I saw the off-Broadway tour of What to Send Up When It Goes Down, which is a play by Alicia Harris. So that's kind of my like list of, I guess one could say, like more big league things.
Awesome. All right. So just quickly, because I know we're running out of time a little bit here. What out of all of those do you think has been your favorite live arts experience? And like, I know we talked about What to Throw Up When It Goes Down in the first episode.
What to Send Up. Yeah.
What to Send Up. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's hard to say. And I was thinking about this because the other thing, the thing about this list is that this is like a very long period of time. I saw my first Broadway show when I was 6, and then the last thing on this list was when I was 17. So like pretty formational years of life.
Absolutely.
That I kind of saw all these things at different stages of. But I mean, Hadestown, Hadestown kind of sealed the deal for me that it kind of like, what am I trying to say? Ensured for me that like this is what I wanted to do, right? I guess. And it's also just it's an incredible musical, and the design was incredible, and like my family has loved Hadestown for a really, really, really long time. Like my dad has the concept albums on vinyl, like from when Anais Mitchell like started writing Hadestown. Yeah. So it was very cathartic to see, and it was an incredible production of it. We saw it in previews in March of 2019. But so that's one. Like I loved it, and I knew I would love it. Right. But I also have to say that I think that there is something important in theater to like broken expectations and things that I like, something that I didn't expect to love as much as I did. And so I have to talk about the revival of Oklahoma. It blew my fucking mind. It was the playbill for it is like sitting right above me. It's on my wall. It was incredible. And it really struck a chord in me, in my interest in taking old stories or old pieces of work and kind of looking at them in a new light, because it absolutely changed that show for me. I had seen Oklahoma before, kind of like the way that it's classically done. And then this production of it just like blew that show open for me, made it a completely different story. And I also really appreciate Broadway shows that it was like minimalist. It was kind of a minimalist Broadway show, which I thought was really cool and interesting. So I would say probably those two for like Broadway musicals that I've seen.
Amazing. I was trying to think as you were talking about what mine might be. I mean, in the first episode, I already talked about the state of mind I was in when I saw Frozen for the first time, and how that was the first musical I had seen after I'd gotten into musical theater college. So that one was obviously a huge, huge moment for me. I was very emotional when I saw that. Other than Frozen, in terms of broken expectations, I really felt that when I went to see Beetlejuice. I have never to this day seen the movie of Beetlejuice. Okay,
I have not either. Don't come for us.
Don't come for us.
Don't come for us.
Don't. Or if you do it in our Instagram comments. But anyway, so I hadn't seen Beetlejuice. I hadn't really listened to the album like the soundtrack. So I didn't know anything about it going in.
Yeah.
I went because Christine was like, hey, let's go see a show.
Sure.
I'm buying tickets to Beetlejuice. And they were relatively not that expensive. So I was like,
Amazing.
okay. And I showed up and I had no clue what I was in for. And it was really the tech elements of Beetlejuice that really sealed the deal for me.
That's how I felt with SpongeBob.
Yeah,
too.
like the lighting design, especially the set design, like everything design wise just totally blew my mind. So that one very much broke my expectations. And then another one that I actually didn't talk about because it's not technically like a Broadway or like a tour production.
Okay.
A few years ago, there was a kind of revival, I would say, of The Light in the Piazza that happened in London. And for those who might know, it had Dove Cameron was in it, which is kind of why it got a lot of steam under it. I didn't see Dove Cameron. I did not see it in London. But after London, it came and happened in Chicago. So it was almost the exact same cast, except Dove Cameron had other commitments. I imagine at that time she was probably, I don't know what she might have been filming around then.
Might have been
maybe Schmigadoon, maybe Descendants. Because this was in fall of 2019 that I saw it. So she was replaced with Sylvia Pfeiffer, who's incredible. But the thing that really blew my mind about that was I saw it with Renee Fleming. And I could not contain myself. I went by myself. That is the only piece of theater, I think, that I have ever like gone and sat down and watched completely by myself, like not knowing anyone else that was there.
I love
even
doing
like
that.
Not just like they weren't sitting with me, like I genuinely didn't know anyone there.
Yeah.
So it was a very like introspective moment for me. And I just adore The Light in the Piazza. It's one of my favorite musicals. It's just so gorgeous. And I love Italian. I don't know Italian, but it's beautiful to listen to. So I love Italian.
Romance language.
So those ones are definitely my favorite live experiences for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. Something that I just realized, and I'm not sure if this is true for the ones that you mentioned, but the ones that I have mentioned, there are Hadestown in Oklahoma. I saw the original casts of both, which is interesting. Because I think it's really interesting to think about like filling in for a role once it's kind of made iconic in a way for like in somebody else's voice or something like that.
For sure.
So it's interesting to me that like some of the performances that have really, really stuck with me are the ones that happen to be like immortalized, on a Broadway cast recording, and are the original role or performer. But
for sure. Me as well. When I saw Frozen, Beetlejuice, and Hadestown, I saw, at least with the leads, I'm not sure about ensemble, I saw the original cast. So, and that for sure had a mark on me, and especially being able to go home and kind of, it's another aspect of reliving it when it's the same voices you heard.
Exactly.
And that has always been so special to me, is being able, I kind of have a tradition of when I leave a Broadway show on the drive home, we'll listen to the soundtrack. To kind of try to keep the moment going. And it's really special to be able to listen to the soundtrack and hear the same voices you just heard in the theater.
No, that's so true. It's just interesting. It's not a correlation I had drawn before, but
me either.
It is interesting, but and also, I mean, like with Broadway, I don't know. I feel like you're always expecting the best of the best because what you're promised is the best of the best. And like the thing for me that never, ever, 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 ever falters in Broadway, honestly, there are some things on this list that I could talk about a performance for me that was like, I could talk for a long time about Reeve Carney and Hadestown. Don't come for me, but I could. But I won't get into that right now. Conversation for another time, mayhaps. I could write a blog post for the Patreon about it. But anyways, for me with Broadway, it's all about spectacle. And what does the spectacle for me is the design. Every single thing on this list, I remember like visually, and I remember moments, like the
Yes.
moments that stick with me tend to be tech moments. Like obviously, you know, alphabet flying. That's
Right.
that's in my brain. That's in my brain forever. I remember like the lights in Wait for Me.
Yeah.
The swinging lights. And I remember like in Matilda, they do a lot of really cool light work with like shadows.
They do.
And projection and stuff when she's like telling her stories. Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime is one of the most incredible tech pieces that I have ever seen, direction and tech pieces that I've ever seen. So that's another thing. I think that obviously it's something Broadway can do that most others cannot.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. And the last little thing we wanted to talk about is kind of in celebration and anticipation of theater and the arts opening back up, we were kind of wanting to talk about our hopes for what comes with that. I know for me, and I'm sure every performer and artist involved in live theater feels this right now. It's very strange to be back in the space because I hadn't really gotten a chance to actually like, how do I want to say this? I was in a show when I got kicked out of school for COVID.
Me as well.
And so I never really got a chance. We performed the show once and we knew that that was the only time we were going to perform it. But other than that, I was like off campus like 2 days after they gave us notice. So I think a lot of us didn't really get a chance to ahead of time realize what we were going to be giving up for the next however many months.
Yeah.
And it ended up being 18 or something like that. So it's so cathartic to be back in the space now because everyone kind of has this joint feeling of this is what we lost and this is what we've been missing.
Yes.
Because there's been some great art to come out of COVID and out of the pandemic and all of the tragedy and hardship that's happened in the past 18 months. But I just know for me, I've just been missing being in the space.
Yeah, me too.
So it just feels so good to be back. And I really hope, and I'm hoping that we never have to have a hiatus like this again. But I'm hoping that there's a lot more awareness with everyone about how kind of sacred those spaces are.
Yeah.
And how much of a privilege it is to be able to just be in the room. Like for me to be at theater college, like even that's not something that everyone who loves theater and wants to pursue theater is able to do. And
no,
I'm very privileged to be able to be at school and be in this space.
Yeah.
So I just hope that we don't take that for granted again.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of my big hope. And then I just want to, like I said, there were a lot of emerging voices over the past year and a half. And I really hope that people make space for them to be heard.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So those are kind of my big hopes for
I'll jump
upcoming.
In. One of my major hopes, this applies to theaters or performing arts venues of like all size. Right. All size, all, like for every show, everything. I hope that we take some of the lessons and skills that we gained over the pandemic and apply them to our work. Obviously, it was a pretty major hiatus, but I think to some degree or another, all of us learned something during that period of time. On a really tangible level, I think a lot of theaters managed some pretty major strides in accessibility of their work. And through like live streaming and ways to replicate the live theater experience for sure in a virtual sense. I did a virtual show, like I did a live streamed piece called 100 Words for Snow, so it was a solo show, like a play that we live streamed. And frankly, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And so I'm not necessarily certain that, that's what I want to carry on. But I think that there is something so valuable in the technical skills that we've garnered over the past year and a half to like reach out into more communities and find ways to make theater more accessible, because that's a major goal for me in my career. I think that our industry is underfunded and undervalued because it just doesn't reach the sheer amount of people that I believe it deserves to. And so I think accessibility is a huge thing, and I hope that we continue to make strides in that, on that front. So that's one thing. I agree. I hope that the voices that we choose to prioritize are the voices of people of color and of women and of non-binary people. Yes. I don't know if it's true, but I thought I saw on Instagram a little while ago that every show that had reopened on Broadway was either written or directed by a woman. And I hope that's true.
I think I also saw something like that.
I saw something like that. And I tried to fact check it a little while ago, and I couldn't find the post or the source. But I hope that's true, and I hope that remains true. I honestly was disappointed in the Tony Awards this year.
I didn't even watch them.
Yeah, that could be a whole other topic, like how the Tonys went this year, the Tonys in general. But I was overall disappointed in the voices that rose to the surface, and how the structure of that event and how it's the kind of oppressive nature that it upholds. But I hope that we continue to make strides in that direction. And another major thing that I hope that we take with us into this kind of reemergence of sorts is, I think that the past year has taught us, or the past 2 years at this point, has taught us all a lot about, or at least speaking from the eye, it has taught me a lot about how to take care of myself and how to take care of those around me.
Absolutely.
And it really made me call into question, or not even call into question, but just realize things that I was doing in the past that were not good for me to do, that I was not that just were unhealthy. And so I hope that a lot of this has to do with kind of DEI work and reaching towards more anti-racist theater making. But I hope that we as an industry start to prioritize the wellness of our actors and on our tech people and everybody working on a production. In compensation, in the sheer number of hours that are expected of us. I think the 8 days a week trope of Broadway, I don't know who that supports other than the people who make the money.
Exactly.
And so I hope that we continue to make strides towards taking care of the people working on theater. And I hope that we continue forward with this idea, of in a physical health way, taking care of our audiences. We don't want to jump the gun and get people ill coming back into theaters. But also I think that this is a really vulnerable time and a valuable time to start being more conscious of the way that we present our stories to audiences. I think it's really important to take care of our audiences through trigger warnings and through just appropriate means of storytelling storytelling and hosting a live performance that support storytelling in a way that is not going to be upsetting or harmful to the people witnessing it, but that allows growth and allows open conversation. For example, the production of West Side Story, the revival of West Side Story that I saw, there's obviously some intense content in West Side Story that was not proper. There was no proper trigger warning, and it caused some deep harm to some people that I was at that production with, and like to me a little bit. And so I think on that level, especially like on the Broadway level, especially, I don't think that's acceptable anymore. And I think that we've learned a lot over the past year about how to take care of each other and be more conscious of what we put out into this space and into the air. So I hope that is something that we carry with us as well. And all of these are kind of just like little seedlings of much bigger conversations.
Absolutely.
But I hope that these are conversations that we continue to have and use platforms like this one to have. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful.
So, welcome back to live theater.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Oh, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to episode 3.
This was a fun little like chill chit chat episode. So hope you enjoyed.
Just a reminder, go head over to our Instagram, comment on our icebreaker question. What is your dream concert lineup? Let us know what you're hoping continues to be brought into live theater as it comes back, and maybe new ideas that you have for live theater. So comment all of that, either where you stream us or on Instagram. Make sure you check out our Patreon for some extra bonus content. Maybe we can get Emma to write some of her strong opinions on there.
I have so many strong opinions.
Episode 4 is going to be coming your way on October 25th. We have a fun
excited
Halloween special. We already have a special guest confirmed that as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be so much fun, guys.
So much fun. As always, thank you to you guys for listening. Thanks to our family and friends for helping us be here.
I have one more thing. Sorry. Yeah. Also, since episode 2, we have produced a Google form that allows you to, if you are an avid listener of PlayChat, or a friend of ours, a friend of the pod, and there's something that you would love to talk to us about, or an original work of yours have read, we would love to have you on the podcast, on PlayChat as a guest chatter. So in our Instagram bio or on our link tree, you can find it on our socials. There is a form to fill out if you want to come on the pod, and we would love to have you. So definitely check that out as well.
Thank you so much to Christine Kattar, our editor, to Syndey Steger, our producer, and as always to Michael Averko for writing our cute little theme song. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys on October 25th.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
PlayChat Podcast is written and hosted by Emma Cahoon and Sam Griffin. It is edited by Christine Kattar and produced by Syndey Steger. Our theme song is written by Michael Averko.